2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Quarter of the way through the 12 hours of Matsusaka, and things are heating up, not just in one class. We've got two on the bubble. GTE and LMP2 really heating up. Kieran McGinley, I see that juices are coming under salvo fire from Mugen Sim Racing in the lead for GTE, but in the meantime, Burst Esport Gooder battling away with Sem9Ax, who I just saw running wide. So the big thing is that there's two battles. We're a quarter of the way through the race. We've still got just under 9 hours, and the light is fading. The headlights are on all cars, and the floodlights are lighting up the circuit fantastically.
It's a beautiful sight, isn't it? Very, very pretty. This circuit becomes under the floodlights, and as we've already seen with the nighttime racing, with the nighttime driving in qualifying yesterday, you know, that's going to change up the circuit dynamics. For some teams, it'll make them lap slower. For some, it'll make them lap quicker. Can't wait to see how it all unfolds later on. At the moment, though, you're seeing on screen the battle for the LMP2s. Moments before the commercial break, we also saw Juice's Motorsport Club falling afoul of an error and being under pressure from Mugen Sim Racing. I'm seeing it on my screen as they head in towards the hairpin, and Giorgio Balla is all over the back of Tony Janssen as they make their way in towards the hairpin. Tried to see if there was a move up the inside, but nothing there. The door was always closing. But as you say, Alex, we've got a battle for the LMP2s now heading their way through.
Inigo Anton looking up the inside, runs wide, coming out of 130R. Rasmus Andreasen keeping it pinned on the racing line for Burst Esport Gooder Sunglasses in the number 94. They've got the number 32 B32 GT3 car. Andreasen pulls to the left, puts the throttle down, and Anton up the inside, down the start-finish straight, as it looks like the sister 7.9 axle car is in the pit lane at the moment. Nakib Aslan showing currently behind the wheel of the car as the two LMP2 leaders filter their way through the S's. We're going to take a look as we see here just how close they are in the braking zones, whilst Kieran's keeping his keen eye. It's about 6 car lengths between first and second in GT3. His eyeballs are very much on stalks at the moment.
They are indeed. I mean, I'm just seeing just how much of a battle, how much of a defence that Tony Janssen can put up against Giorgio Ballo. It's pretty intense. I mean, for Tony Janssen, he made that error about 10 minutes ago, and it's allowed this pressure from Mugen Sim Racing to really bombard Juices at the moment. And you know, fair play to them, they're holding off Mugen, but it is going to be a tough order, especially with that mistake creeping in. But I mean, these drivers battling away, you wouldn't think they've got 9 hours of the race left to go.
Inigo Anton still putting the pressure on Rasmus Andreas, and they're going through into the right-hand sweeper. They've got the 777 GT3 car and the 717 GTE of Unison Racing. Anton up the inside, going side by side through the corner, and they're coming out. Oh, a little bit of a run wide, and Inigo Anton looks to have taken the lead, using the opportunity when it presented himself at the most, but Rasmus Andreasen will not take that one lying down, hurtling their way through 130R, and Rasmussen really keeping it pinned at the moment. But great dueling between the two. You see the steely face of concentration for Rasmus Andreasen. A little bit of a sigh of frustration there, I think. But we said about backmarker traffic, this is what happens when you're against somebody else for the same position out on track. And in all honesty, Burst Esports Gooder Sunglasses knew that they were going to have some rivals. I'm not too sure if they thought the 7.9 axle was going to be on their radar. They are now.
I mean, it was smart driving from Inigo Anton as well. Always knew that the traffic was going to stick to the racing line, which was on the outside of the corner on the exit, and that's exactly where Anton put Andreasen. And the move worked because Andreasen had to back out. He had to make sure he didn't run into the traffic in front of him. So it was smart driving from Inigo Anton, and he's taken the lead of LMP2.
Yeah, we now head back to GT3, and it is Tony Janssen versus Gergo Bolog in the 67 Mugen Sim Racing versus the 74 Aston Martin V8 Vantage GTE of Juices Motorsport Club. Really good showing in qualifying. We had a really good chat with, you and Yusuf actually had a good chat with João Barbosa in official qualifying session 2 last night, and there you can see the lovely panoramic shots of the GTE lead battle. Left hand side of your screen, it is the 404 Lee Russell now having taken over the car from Callum Wilson, and that car steadily running in a solid second position. That's where they qualified. And there's a bit of LMP2 traffic coming up to the GTE battle for the lead, as the leaders making their way through past one of the Musto cars. That is going to be the 53, the defending GTE champions. You get it all nearly kind of squirrely going through into the approach into the Casio triangle, and Andreasen pulls again to the left on the final corner to get past the 53 Porsche. You can see by the shots the sunlight is starting to fade, and this is where we're going to go into the deep of night, Kieran, very, very soon. I would probably say within the next couple of hours. I'd like to see if we can get a bit of a weather update from what is actually surrounding the circuit at the moment, but hopefully we'll have that on our screens very, very shortly indeed. And at the moment, seems like all 28 cars that started the race are still circulating here at Matsusaka, 5.807 kilometres. And what a wonderful sight seeing that Ferris wheel. That's going to light up with glorious LEDs in the hours to come and the minutes to come here at the 12 hours of Matsusaka. keeping my eye on the LMP2 leaders, especially Rasmus Andreasen as he makes his way through 200R and now into the hairpin and puts the power down. Well, he's going to go through 200R now. My apologies there. Now having to sweep towards the outside of Teleforingen, but good job so far by a lot of these battles. We did see the spread of distances between cars, Kieran, but they have started with driver changes in atmospherics. That is another set of factors that the drivers and the teams and the engineers have to contend with.
Yeah, and it's the beauty of endurance racing. You've just got to roll with the punches sometimes, and as I was saying to Yusuf, you're going to go through moments where things are not going to go your way. You're going to have some sort of issue in the race. It's being the cool head on the shoulders and making sure you manage whatever issue you have coolly, calmly, and just collectively, as so, you don't lose too much time and too much composure.
Yeah, number 27, Ricky Jimenez behind the wheel of the Aston Martin Vantage V8, dropping off of its air jacks, and it's been in the pit lane for now 20 seconds and counting. Both axles on the floor, and they'll just be refueling the car, so the tyres have gone on to... you know what, I like the fact that there is a little bit of Aston Martin Racing WEC green tribute here on this car. A little bit more colour than the beige's pink livery that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, what you've got against beige's new pink is beyond me. But yeah, the tributes underneath for the Aston Martin. In fairness, though, pink and green is a good colour combination as it now leaves the pit lane. Just that green trim with pink, rather than Aston Martin's F1 entry of a green livery with pink trim last year,
which has now gone metallic British Racing green with a lighter hue of green like we've got on the Aston Martin here. But the Battle GTE, the volume has been switched up to probably not just 11, maybe even 12 as things stand, because Tony Jansen and Gergo Balog still battling away. The gap between them is negligible at best.
That was a slight mistake there from the Juices Motorsport Club car, and that's going to allow even more pressure from the Mugen Sim Racing, the machine driven by Giorgio Ballo, as they make their way now up through the left-hander and putting that power down. Looks like that Tony Jansen managed to just about get away with that one, but any mistake you present to another driver is just like trying to use blood to lure a shark. It's not going to end well if you keep presenting those opportunities.
Yep, just keeping an eye on David Mrocek for Burst Esports Simplexity. They still continue to lead the overall standings and also the DPI class. Points were already on the board following timed qualifying last night. And what's more, it was a case of, if memory serves me correctly, Juices pick up a point for the 74 car in GTE, Mugen Sim Racing 82, pole position in GT3, and it was double delight for Burst Esports. Good as Sunglasses 94 took pole in LMP2, and with the sterling display of the likes of Mrocek, Simoncic and one Michi Hoyer putting in the most dynamite of qualifying laps when it mattered the most, took pole position in DPI. So 4 teams already on the board when it comes to points. It's 1 point for taking pole position, it's 1 point for completing the entire race, even if you are multiple laps down, and 25 points for a victory. However, for the EEWC Le Mans finale in late October, those points will be doubled, and that is where things may not be 100% assured, Kieran McGinley, going into the penultimate round at Spa. Because even if you are, what is it? So that would be 50 points for the Le Mans victory, a total of 54 points on offer for someone that gets a clean sweep. And if you're within 54 points of that team that is leading the championship, and that team has a drama, you can capitalise at the most pivotal required moment possible. And
someone who has capitalised on a pivotal moment is the number 54 machine, Musto Pescara, have found themselves now into the lead. Deegan Fairclough now leading the GTE class, having the 74 of Tony Jansen coming into the pit lane. And well, that Musto Pescara car really flew under the radar, at least of my radar, because it's now into the leader GTE, and Mugen Sim Racing, who were running in second place for such a long time, made a slight error. It allowed Deegan Fairclough to take full advantage, and he now leads with that 54 machine in the GTE class.
I'm going to try and see if I can tee up a replay of the overtake from Deegan Fairclough, young Brit running in the Junior Saloon Car Championship in real life, but make sure that he has got just as much prowess on the simulator, because I think the move might have happened going into the first corner. So once I've teed up the replay, we'll be good to go on that one. But I'm just sort of seeing the different dynamics in backwards motion, not forwards, and just going to change the camera angle very shortly. But however, the replay is now ready for production. Give us the thumbs up if you're ready, guys. Fingers crossed.
This is where they ignore you. That's it. Leave you hanging.
Okay. Well, we'll wait in just a moment, but Deegan Fairclough, the youngest driver in the MPE 54 squad, out-qualified the defending champions, the sister car, the 53, by 3/10 on the cumulative average, as the Mugen Sim Racing BMW has, I've just spotted, entered pit lane. So that gives Deegan Fairclough quite a significant amount of opportunity to make hay whilst the light is very much fading.
Yes, it allows Deegan Fairclough, as you said, to just get on with the job. A clear track now. He's got the track to himself for now. Allow him to put some strong lap times in and make the strategy work, as they'll be on a slightly different strategy to Mugen and to Juices as well. The sister car, driven at the moment by Michael Francesconi in the 53 machine, currently in third place, but we'll have to wait and see how they will rejoin. They are currently on their outlap, approaching the final sector, so 67 of Mugen Sim Racing could rejoin behind, because that's where João Barbosa is now currently in the 74. He's taken over in that machine, driving the number 74. So all eyes at the moment would appear to see that Musto Pescara, for the time being, will be running 1 and 2.
As you said, we've got a yellow out, I think ever so briefly in Sector 1, which was quickly retracted. We haven't had as much yellows as we'd anticipated, have we, Kieran? Because we're getting into that ebb and flow, the pendulum swinging from left to right, and that just goes to show that the drivers are now getting into a steady rhythm. When we get into the night time, like we found in qualifying yesterday evening for session 2, the cars are going to start getting quicker. We've got another yellow flag just briefly showing up. It might just be that the car's just gone slightly off track, but on what I can see on our track map, I can't really see much in terms of who that was, because if it flickers on and off, you can't really, if there's like several cars going through the same corner, your mind gets sort of having tricks played on you.
Yeah, just very slightly, don't you? And just making sure you get all that information. I mean, as you say, if it just blinks up, it's gone before you even know it, before you've even been able to catch it. We're only human, I promise. Yeah. But yeah, it might have just been a slight off-track excursion, or it might have been someone just diving out of the way of a faster car coming through and just slowing it down so that they don't meet them at the likes of 130R or at the hairpin, something along those lines, which just triggers that little bit of a yellow flag moment.
Yeah, and yellow flag moments are not what they need, and there is one. I've just spotted there was a brief moment for Viaducton, the number 1 car in the DPI class, who are running in, what is it, they're running in 4th place at the moment, so at the minute, with 8 hours, 43 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock still to go, gonna go Balog in 3rd place in the Mugen Sim Racing number 67. So we're going to give you a roundup of what's been happening at the moment. So Hypercar David Mrocek is leading the way for Burst Esports Simplexity, as Lorenzo De Cutis is, I think, probably the best part of nearly, 80 seconds adrift. Then it's a further 48 or so seconds back to Artem Shulayev via Ducton in the pits. Romain Senior for Team Adrenaline, the Frenchman in his mid-30s, unable to take part last year because the region in where he was living was very much affected. There's Glam Racing in the 404 car, a lovely livery, still trying to chase down at the moment. Alexander Zeka now behind the wheel of the Volante Racing by Azatec Sim Sports car, and the gap between them is just shy of 1.4 seconds as things stand. So Glam Racing, third in last year's championship, switched powertrain and drivetrain layout as well with their chariot of choice, or weapon of choice in the words of Fatboy Slim, one particular year ago or so. Still looking pretty handy in second position in the class, despite having a lot of dramas battling away with the likes of the 777 DSR Callaway GT3. So Lee Russell still behind the wheel of the car at the moment, 1.561 seconds adrift. Then it's B32 who started, and they didn't have the best qualifying, let's be honest here, Kieran. B32 started at the back end of GT3, but dramas for Rodrigo in the in the CKR car. Adam Surej now behind the wheel of the pole-sitting car in GT3. This has, I really hate to say this, this has shades of what happened early last year when the 41 Mugen Sim Racing car was in battle with Unison Racing, but they still have plenty of time. Things can happen in the meantime, as we've discussed earlier on in the broadcast, but at the moment, a good showing by Musto Pescara. At the minute, the MPE crews doing a pretty good job, but at the moment it's David Mrocek in the lead overall and ahead of Muradnis E-Stars with Lorenzo Di Curtis behind the wheel. Inigo Anton is leading LMP2 as things stand and is ahead of Rasmus Andreasen, and the gap now is extended to 4.4 seconds. Sabakis back behind the wheel of the number 15 Juices Motorsport Club car. Nello Pastorino, Benthe Horvas for Team Aris, and Tigran Mkhitaryan for Cyberlinks Racing rounds out the top the drivers in LMP2. Excuse me, seems like your throat's not the only one starting to suffer with problems at the moment. We're going to get through it. So Deegan Fairclough and Michael Francesconi, 54 leads 53. The duo of MPE Porsches leading the way. And there's Gergo Balog, I think I've just spotted there. Behind in the number 67 car rounds out the top three. João Barbosa, the Portuguese man of war for Juices Motorsport Club, in the 74 Aston Martin in fourth, ahead of Nikolai Bezrukov for Unison Racing in the 717 Big Beast, as we like to call it. It was the BMW meme car that as soon as you got one car in front of it, everything would just be expanded, and then the BMW would be prominent and very much more than just visible. That car is in fifth place. Ricky Jimenez for MCM Motorsport, Jan Granqvist for Satellite Racing, DIS in eighth, and Michael Pedersen for IB Simsport that got hit with a 30-second stop-go penalty for not respecting the 284 of Cyberlinks Racing. There is Inigo Anton from the Philippines, and also you can see the E-Racing GP T-shirt on there. E-Racing GP, one of the prominent series in Asia that has been doing quite a lot of great racing championships over in Asia over the past 2 years, and coming into GT3 it's Alexander Zeka for Volante Racing by Azatec Simsport, Lee Russell for Glam Racing in second, B32 Racing rounding out the top three, Michael Ciccolini behind the wheel of the DSR Gadget House Callaway C7, Gert Nielsen for Teleforingen rounding out the top five, ahead of Adam Surej and, well, João Gabriel for CKR. That Ayrton Senna tribute band car, unfortunately, has been in the garage, and it looks like that is a significant amount of time that car has been in there. I'm wondering if that might be terminal.
You did say earlier on at the top of this hour, you said, we've got 28 cars still in the running, and I did wonder how long is that going to be unraveled, untwined. I think the curse of the commentator has struck again. I'm going to be honest with you, Alex. I'm putting that on you.
Well, you're the first one to throw me under the double-decker bus by London Bridge. Yusuf did not get that chance, I think.
Exactly.
You got in there first, Kieran. Plays to you.
I'm glad I was here when it happened, but there we go. I will say as well that battled for third place in GTE, battled for second place between the 53 of Michael Francesconi and Gergo Ballo. It's been lukewarm for a bit of time because Ballo's on fresh tyres. He's able to take these corners a lot better now and was really applying the pressure to Francesconi. Meanwhile, Anthony really struggling with one of the GT cars out there. Did well to avoid any contact.
Well, I've got a replay of the move that we will see hopefully very soon from Deegan Fairclough that he did on Gergo Balog in the 67 Mugen Sim Racing car. This was through the first corner here at Matsusaka, so whenever production decides to give me the thumbs up, hopefully I've got that queued up, I've got that ready. Okay, PC troubles at the moment, so
oh, that's a shame.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, well, actually, I think whilst we've got the opportunity, I think a camera has been set up with Viaducton, the number 1 car. I'm not too sure if we might be able to grab an image of that and see that on screen, so I will, for the moment, delay my replay. It's not the only one that's it's happened to. It's happened to Yusuf as well, I think, if memory serves me correctly. So these things do happen. And there is Viaducton in the number 1 car, currently sitting 4th in... So we've got Marius, who is behind the wheel of this car, the number 1 car.
Yeah, they have been doing a good job. Obviously, yourself and Yusuf were talking about earlier the how inclusive esports and especially sim racing has become, in the fact that we've got one of the youngest driver lineups on the grid here in GTR 24H.
Yep, Charlie Lechner, 11 years of age, so doing a very, very good job. I mean, they're learning this car. It's no easy rodeo getting into something like a 5.5 litre V12 Cadillac DPI that's got a lot of power and torque on the rear wheels, and this just goes to show that these youngsters are having a trial by fire as it fires its way through 130R. But at the moment, they're still running in a genuine 4th position. Bit of a difficult time for the number 11 car for a Sem 9 Axel, because they've been in the pits quite a significant amount of time more than I think than everybody else in terms of what's happening. They are I think they are a few laps down as well, so fingers crossed for them that they managed to get a little bit of lady luck on their side, because that's what you also need in endurance racing. We're about to hit the 8 hour and 40 minute mark to go, and with that in mind, I think it's time for us to go to a commercial break. We're going to be back after these short messages. Stay tuned. The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Azatec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV and Film Vault Limited.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going into the deep of night. It's Alex Goldschmidt and Yusuf bin Sahar. We're going to take a quick replay because there's been an almighty moment for the 166 ID Sim Sport. So without further ado, we're going to head to the replay now. And the car itself, watch this, Yusuf. Bang. And then the back end pirouettes for good measure and manages to avoid one of the DPI cars. I think that might have been Viaducton.
Get the curb at the wrong angle and it can sling your car up in the air, as we saw there. Now, we do have battles going on all over the place, specifically in the GTE class, because your top 4 drivers in the GTE class are separated by about 6 seconds. That's not all. Nikolai Bezrukov in the 717 Unison racing car is just 3/10 behind DIS Sim Racing Lab as they've made their way out of Spoon Corner and are heading down towards 130R, nip and tuck, nose to tail.
And you'll be pleased to know that Kieran McGinley was the first one out of the rest of the commentary team that threw me under the double-decker bus by London Bridge.
Oh no.
He did.
What did he do? I mean, yes, what did he do?
I can't quite remember.
I'm going to jump across you because we've got this battle with DIS and Unison still going. Unison have gone round the outside of DIS through the Casio Triangle. A bit of a kerfuffle involving 2 of the LMP2 cars, and DIS have jumped into the pits as a result.
Oh, so that gives a place to Unison Racing 717 BMW M8 GT piloted by one Nikolai Bezrukov. Oh, now there was someone that was having a massive moment. That was the 17 Unison Racing DPI car with Artem Shulaev behind the wheel, getting it massively all crossed up behind Manuel Biancolila from MPE in the number 54 car, who has taken over from Deegan Fairclough, who did a peach of a move on Gergo Balog earlier on to take the class lead when Tony Janssen from Juice's Motorsport Club entered pit lane. But Yusuf, this is one of the things I like about this track now, that the light is starting to get that little bit darker. The floodlights are ablaze, the headlights are on the car. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens under the night, because we've seen it before last season. We saw some intense battles, the speeds, the lap times. We get that extra bit of motivation and adrenaline, not just for us here in commentary, but also for those drivers. They're absolutely pushing like crazy.
So much for Japan being the land of the rising sun, more like the land of the setting sun.
Yeah. Arigato.
Arigato
gozaimasu. There you go. That's probably the extent of our Japanese.
I've got a few more. I've got a few more that I can drop out. I'm a filthy anime weeb. I know quite a few phrases.
You know what? I haven't heard that in commentary ever. Weeb.
Yeah.
But I know the term. I do know one Japanese term. Ohayo gozaimasu.
Yeah.
You know, itadakimasu when you're going to sit down to eat.
Yep.
You know, you're giving thanks for the food that's been provided for you. Anyway, we're going off on a bit of a Japanese language cultural identity crisis here at the moment. We'll get back to the action, but really good to see that battles, as you say, GTE looking really close. I mean, they've got João Barbosa behind the wheel of the number 74 car. So really good to see that Juices are... And it was really good to hear from João yesterday. He gave the thumbs up, the sign of approval for your footwear. I'm not mentioning the particular word because I've done that too much. And the poll that we had on the YouTube channel chat was 67% went yes, reference a particular type of footwear. We'll leave that one. That's water under the bridge. But Biancolila closing in on the 67 Mugen car.
To the outside into turn 1, and is he going to be able to hold it? I think he has, actually. That is brave stuff from the Masto Pescara driver.
Oh my goodness me, that was, I think as the Italians would say, Mama.
Contact. Mugen give a little flash of the lights as well. They're not very happy with that move.
Right, well, I'm going to try and get a replay of that from an outside angle, because that is definitely... I'm going to tee that up, hopefully very shortly. I'm just waiting for my screen. Okay, right. I've got the replay ready, production.
We've got the thumbs up from production. So
here we go. Let's have a look from the outside view here between Mugen and MPE. Into the first corner, up the inside. There's the first contact. And through they go into the next... That was a tank slapper and a half.
Could we actually go back and get the view from Mugen? Because I just want to see if the... If Musto cut across Mugen from their perspective here.
Okay, right. So we're gonna just try and roll this back.
Lovely stuff.
Indeed. So we're gonna do this at normal speed into the first corner.
So I think that's fine. Turn to.
There was a double tap there.
So that's rubbish. Yeah, that's the questionable one. That's what I think Mugen are very unhappy about. I think. Aggressive, to be honest, I think Musto get away with that. It's borderline, it's towing the line. I think it was a bit over the line, but I don't think it's penalty worthy.
Yeah, I'm actually siding with you a little bit there. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do give opinions, but I look at it from as neutral a perspective as possible, as does Yusuf. So, but now the darkness really quickly setting in. Oh, Team Adrenaline runs wide. Going through the first corner, you can see Team Iris there in the 77. That's Benthe Horvath trying to get through. That's one of the that's the 54 car, the MPE car. Is that the 53? That's the 53 up ahead, the sister car, and the LMP2 and DPI traffic trying to make their way through the SS. This is going to get rather gnarly all of a sudden, because everyone's trying to fight, and all the two MPE cars side by side. Adrenaline can't find a way through. And into the Degners, and luckily enough, thank goodness, the rear gunner of the MPE cars decided to hold back. That was Francesconi, who's got Balog right behind.
And, well, Balog is going to want revenge, and he might not have even realised that the car in front of him changed and is now the 53, to be honest, because they look identical from the rear. But the Musto drivers, the Musto Pescara drivers, were never going to battle, and Michael Francesconi just allows Biancalila through the Dunlop curve, and now Biancalila is just going to try to pull away as Gergo Balog tries to find a way through on the 53 car.
Yep, so the intensity increases another level. We go up another gear through the gearbox here in GTE at the 12 Hours of Matsusaka, the first round out of 6 for the 2022 GTR 24H Endurance E-Racing World Championship. Over the course of the season, we'll be heading to Monza in Italy next month, and then we head to the Sunshine State that is Florida for the Sebring International Raceway in April. Then it's Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace into Lagos, July. August, Spa-Francorchamps, deep buried in the Ardennes forest of Belgium, and then Le Mans for the EEWC 2022 finale. Anything that's picked up on your radar quite yet?
Yeah, Gerko almost running into the back of the, I think that's the ID SimSport BMW, sorry, the Teleforeningen BMW, heading down into the Casio Triangle. It's allowed Michael Francesconi to pull a bit of a gap to the 67 Mugen Sim Racing car, now about a second between them. Although, as I say, that Musto Pescara run wide through turn 2 and brings the two a bit closer together. We also have a battle starting to form for our LMP2 class lead. The 94 Rasmus Andreasen only 1.3 seconds ahead of Nabil Aslan, and last time round, Aslan going 1.5 seconds quicker.
Okay, with regards to hopefully, I've just had an email, funnily enough, as I speak, that Elos Masciuli has just emailed me reference an internet issue that he is currently suffering. We're going to try and hopefully catch up with one of the Juice's motorsport motorsport club cars. Robert Pawn was due to have an interview with us, so he is probably hopefully getting himself primed and ready. So just to give production a heads up, that's the thing when you're having to multitask with multiple different platforms, live timing, Discord, Messenger, WhatsApp, and also all the great action that we've got out on track. So we'll hopefully see.
Speaking of that action, Nabil Aslan half a second behind Rasmus Andresen. If we could actually get picture up to keep an eye on the battle between Francesconi and Baloch as well, that would be fantastic. We don't want to be missing any of the battles here at Matsusaka. 8 hours and 21 minutes remaining, and the fighting, the battling is still as furious as ever. Into turn 1 we go. Nabil Aslan slotting in behind. This is the battle between SEM9 Axel and Burst Esports. Got our sunglasses for your LMP2 class lead.
Yeah, so hopefully we're. I'm just trying to schedule Robert Pawn to get into the drivers' meeting. So hopefully we'll. Okay, well let's bring him in. Juices Motorsport Club's Robert Pawn. Can you hear me? Oh, hang on. Okay, well hopefully we'll have him. He'll let us know as soon as he gets in. So we'll, fingers crossed, have
Robert Pawn's Juice's car. Currently, Saba Kiss at the wheel, sitting in 4th in the LMP2 class. They're about 50 seconds off this two-way battle for the lead.
Yeah. So still plenty of battles going on as we speak, all the way through all 4 classes, and we are fast approaching. Well, how can I put this, Yusuf? We're about to hit 1/3 time distance. We're about to complete 4 hours in about just over 20 minutes time, and then we go into the next one. So we'll see what happens.
This might be the move. This might be the moment. So close into 130 for Nabil Aslan. Unable to find something as around the outside now for Aslan. Into the Casio triangle, trying to find a way through the 717 Unison Racing GTE car, but unsuccessfully. And look at that gap now between the two LMP2s. Nabil Aslan's going to have to get his head down and close in what is now a 1 second plus gap.
Yeah, so the night time quickly jumping in. We're going to see if we can get a bit of a weather update from our map itself. You can find that at weather.gtr24h.org. So we'll hopefully keep our eyes, but GTE looks to be hotting up very, very shortly indeed. Biancolila at the moment is leading, and it's the 53, so Biancolila is up in front, and it's the battle behind Yusuf. So we'll see what happens over the course of the coming moments, because it's going to be nip and tuck between the 53 and the 67, isn't it?
Absolutely, and we're talking about our top 4 separated by about 6 to 7 seconds. Biancolila is pulling away, and Francesconi is playing the underdog beautifully. He's playing the defensive drive, holding Gergo Baloch behind. Biancolila in the 58s, Francesconi and Baloch in the 59s. Biancolila pulling about second a lap roughly.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on the LMP2 side of things. Burst Esports Gooder sunglasses.
They're still pulling away from Nabil Aslan after Nabil got caught up into the Casio triangle by the 717 Unison Racing car.
Okay, let's head to an interview. Well, it's close to good evening, Robert Pawn from Juices Motorsport Club. Good to have you with us. It's not been an easy run for the number 15 so far, has it?
It wasn't. We had a few issues at the beginning of the race.
Yeah.
I think Darius...
We've lost audio from Robert, so hopefully we can get that
yes,
back.
I think I fixed it now.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, like you were saying, that with Darius taking the opening stint, a couple of incidents. It's not been an easy go for Juices, but you guys are currently sitting in 4th position in the class. Sabakis behind the wheel. We know that he's very, very aggressive. He'll take controlled risks, and hopefully to get you guys back up into the top 3. I know it was a really, really tough battle for qualification. I mean, it was less than 4/10 in between you guys and Burst for pole in LMP2, but how's the thinking with the team at the moment? You guys trying to keep as positive as possible, just keep pushing and just take as many controlled, calculated risks as possible, is that right?
Yes, that's about our mentality.
Mm-hmm.
We still think we have a chance at the win, maybe even a podium. We are currently trying to catch the top two cars, that's I think Excel and Burst. We are using a single stint strategy, so we push as hard as we can, do shorter stop stints, so we can maximize our pace, and hopefully at the end of the race we can fight for the top spot.
Well, Robert, we'll let you get back to it. Thank you very much for joining us here at GTR 24H. We wish you, Saba, and your colleagues at Juice's Motorsport Club, with not just the 15 but the 74 car, all the very best of luck for the rest of the race. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So good to hear from Robert there from Juice's Motorsport Club there, Yusuf. It's never easy when you have an early set of incidents that don't always go your way, but you, as Robert said, you have to keep positive. They're going for an all-out, flat-out, full-throttle approach, going single stints, keeping drivers fresh, and that's quite good when you're doing consistent rotations. It means that the drivers are more focused, they're able to keep each other motivated, they're talking to each other all the time. That's quite a good paramount thing to have if you have the backing of everybody else.
Absolutely. I don't even think we've seen Rui Rice in the car yet for Deuces, so I think it's just alternating right now between Robert Cornet and Sabakis. You always want to have your incidents at the start of the race because it means you've got something that you can chase, something you can focus on. If you're just at the front, you don't have a real sense of urgency. With regards to keeping it fresh, personally, I'm actually not a big fan, but I think it's more a case of driver preference. For me, I never really like jumping in and out of a car because every time you jump in, it feels like you're fresh or you're brand new to the track. You don't know how the car's going to respond to the circuit, to the levels of grip. You don't know how much it's changed in grip level over the previous stint or however long you've been out of the car for. But if the drivers are comfortable to jump in and get straight up to pace, then it's great.
Oh, here we go. Battle for the overall lead at the minute. It's Nabil Aslan versus Rasmus Andreasen, I think. Well, no, it's actually the lead itself in DPI. Got my wires a bit crossed up there. My apologies. Michi Hoyer is in first, but he's actually got that Sem9 Axel just behind. I thought it was the battle for the lead, but it's not the battle for position. Michi Hoyer is now trying to get past.
That is Rasmus Andreasen and Nabil Aslan. You were right the first time round, Alex. Yeah,
that's the battle on the screens. That's for the overall lead in LMP2. I'm keeping my eyes on DPI, but that was close. I mean, we saw the move that I think it was the driver from the Philippines. I'm trying to remember his name. There's so many different names I'm trying to remember at the moment, and this is one of the things in the first round of the championship. We have to keep our eyeballs on stalks on which driver, and that was Inigo Anton. My apologies there, Inigo from the Philippines, but that is the battle for. So Rasmus Andreasen has got his teammate Nabil Aslan breathing all over the rear wing of that Burst Esports Gooder Sunglasses number 94 entry, and the gap between them is minuscule. It's coming down from 4/10, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I'm loving the fact that we've got Burst and Axel both in the DPI class and in the LMP2 class, and right now it's the LMP2 class where things are hotting up. Don't forget, for the 11 in the DPI class, they had some issues, so they had to actually jump out of the server, jump back in. They picked up a 3-lap penalty, and right now they're actually trailing. I'm just double checking. It's Alistair Jung at the wheel of the DPI Axel Motorsport car. They're down in 12th overall, only 44 seconds behind Viaductin, 6 laps off the overall lead, but they are slowly closing in. So we're going to have a charge from Axel soon, but right now it's a charge from Axel in the LMP2 class.
Into 130R they go at full speed. There is the ID SimSport Aston Martin just up ahead, the GTE car that went through a little bit of a pirouette stage through the Casio Triangle. Not happening there.
Mistake.
That was sideways from Andreasen. Oh my goodness me! Aslan nearly hits the left rear of the Aston Martin. It's side by side. Aslan's going to get the run down to the first corner and gets through to retake the lead for Sem9 Axel in LMP2. You cannot script this even if you tried.
And at the end, it all comes down to a mistake from Rasmus Andreasen coming out of the Casio Triangle, losing the rear end, going over the curb, and it just becomes more than easy for Nabil Aslan. The most difficult part was navigating the GT3 car, but it's done, it's dusted. Nabil Aslan leads the LMP2 class for the first time for Axel Motorsports.
Yeah, Nico Anton did a perler move on Rasmus Andreasen earlier on in the race, so it's the second time in just a matter of moments, I think probably within the last 60 to 75 minutes, that these two teams have swapped places. Now, let's not forget that Sem 9 Axel went...
Oh, they're sending it down the inside into the hairpin. Where
no,
has that come from?
That's the sister car. That's Michi Hoyer. Michi Hoyer's just gone through and put another lap on the pair of them. And Rasmus, this could give a window of opportunity. He could get a double so coming down the back stretch, going through into 130R. Look at this from a strategy perspective. The sister car comes through and gives the window of opportunity, and now you can see that Rasmus Andreasen is in the wheel tracks of one Nabil Aslan from Sem 9 Axel. The battle for the lead in LMP2 is on, and I'm going to keep my eyes on what's happening between Rasmus Andreasen and Sabakis. Sabakis last lap around was a 1 minute 47.7. Now the back marker traffic coming into full effect. That's the DIS car, and Rasmus Andreasen pulls to the outside to get through, and there is a car behind, and that is that's the number 11. That's Alistair Young behind the wheel and has just got through up the inside on the approach to the apex for the first corner, and has got through on Rasmus Andreasen. There's the Teleforingen GT3 in the MCM Motorsport car. This is going to impede the LMP2 leaders as the sister car, the DPI, trying to also make it through. They nearly have the drama, the pair of them. This is bringing in Rasmus Andreasen back into the fight for the lead, but Nabil Aslan for the moment is clear.
And it's so tricky seeing two of the burst cars, two of the Axel cars, one in the LMP2, one in the DPI class, nose to tail, trying to figure out who's who. But it is Nabil Aslan who is on your screen, who leads the LMP2 race, and then just behind him is effectively his teammate of Alistair Young in the Axel hypercar, who's acting as a bit of a buffer between Nabil and Rasmus Andreasen.
Yeah, just actually keeping an eye on Rasmus himself. I'm actually on board on the left side of the car as they're going through this right-hand sweeper, heading into Spoon Curve. And there's a lot of correction, minimalistic correction from Rasmus Andreasen as he turns the car, steers it in. As now the night time is coming in with 8 hours and 42 minutes on the... 8 hours and 9 minutes on the clock still to go. And you can see that the two Sem 9 Axel cars running in formation, LMP2 ahead of DPI. They've got the Mugen Sim Racing 82 car, piloted by Adam Surej at the moment, in front as they come out of the Casio Triangle through the final corner. And there is Rasmus Andreasen, and I'm keeping an eye on the lead. The gap has now extended to 2.3 seconds between first and second in LMP2 as Nabil Aslan leads the way. Absolutely epic stuff. Great traffic management by both of the LMP2 and the DPI cars there, Yusuf. But this battle is far from over by a long shot.
I'm calling it now. One of these battles, we've had so many battles so far this race, one of these battles is going to go right down to the wire. Come the last 10 minutes, we are going to have a stadium finish here at Matsusaka. Which battle it'll be, I have no idea whatsoever, as the Axel car forced up onto the curb by the B32 GT3 car, not seeing him coming, and Alistair Young has a bit of an argy-bargy with the B32 car afterwards, just pushing him wide a bit on the entry into the hairpin.
I'm noticing the gap rapidly decreasing between second and third. Sabakis has got clean air, the third place, number 15, Juices Motorsport Club LMP2, the Eureka 07 in third place. The gap was at 1.41 seconds. Sabakis, get this, Yusuf, last lap was a 1 minute 47.031. Rasmus Andreasen 151.508. Nabil Aslan 149.724. Gap now just under 33 seconds. Sabakis is hungry, and it's for some LMP2 prey.
Sabakis is an incredibly quick driver. We've seen it last year, we've seen it the year before, and well, we were speaking to Robert Pawn before, and they said that their goal right now is just to push, and that's exactly what they're doing. 3.5 seconds quicker than Rasmus Andreasen last time round, 2 seconds quicker than Nabil Aslan, 36 seconds off the LMP2 class lead. The question is, how long can they keep that pace going for?
Well, Sabakis is absolutely ripping his way through the field and tearing it all asunder. As a little bit further ahead, you've got that is the 777 DSR GT3 car, and there is Alistair Young on the side of your screen there, on the left-hand side. Alistair has been running in single-seaters, real-life racing driver, son to Alex Young, the team principal of Sem9 Axel, who I caught up with just a few hours before, and you can just see the amount of steering wheel correction going through out of turn 2 and through into the S's. This is where you have to keep it pinned. It's quite a lot. You can actually see his movement, but on the right hand side it's actually the run on board with the view that I've got, because you've got the Teleforingen car. This is the Juices Motorsport Club car of Sabakis, and Sabakis last time 1 minute 47.5. He is taking lumps out of the time between him and Rasmus Andreasen. 1 minute 50.4. Sabakis 1 minute 47.5. This is going to be absolutely brilliant. The way that Sabakis is moving forward and trying to close in on the top two. As you said, that's exactly what happened.
Oh, that's a mistake from one of the Axel Motorsports car. I think that was Nabil Aslan who made that mistake. He's run wide through the Castillo Triangle, rejoins the circuit. Still a couple of seconds ahead of Andreasen though.
Just going to see, I think that might have been the DPI car with Alistair Young behind the wheel. I'm just going to try and have a look.
Very possible, because they look pretty much the same to me. I know I can kind of tell the difference, and you've got to look at the front headlights is the biggest giveaway, and then the rear lights also, but from the side angle, I couldn't see anything.
The thing is that the bigger apertures over the front wheels is what tells the difference between the LMP2s and the DPIs. I've actually got an outside view of Alistair Young in the number 11 car, so if production is ready, I've got a replay ready to tee up and show for... Here we go. Right, let's have a look at this one, okay? Now you can see that's the Juices 74 car. Young pulls to the outside, back end steps out, and has no other alternative. He lost his braking point completely through no fault. He tried to get past Deuces, and that was the LMP2 car behind the sister car of Nabil Aslan. That just shows how hard these drivers are pushing here, Yusuf.
Yeah, the issue wasn't that he missed his braking zone. It's when he tried to get past the GT car, he put one wheel onto the grass, and we've seen what happens when you jump onto the brakes when you have a wheel on the grass. It can send you spinning. So you've got to lift off the brake, bring it back onto the track, then jump back onto the brakes. That's what Alistair Young did. It meant that he had to run wide, but critically, he doesn't pick up any damage. He doesn't spin the car, and he can keep on going with maybe having hurt his pride a little bit.
Well, with that being said, we're going to go to a brief commercial break. We'll be right back after these short messages. The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Azatec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.